New microphone, new me, new channel. Hello, I'm Tom Franklin, your resident soccer zombie, and I wanted to do more of a planned introduction to this channel and this whole world of soccer content creation, but then some news happened this past week that kind of sped up the timetable just a little bit. So MLS wants to replace its pro teams in the U.S. Open Cup with its MLS Next Pro sides. And U.S. Soccer this past Wednesday said, nah. So now we have ourselves a little bit of a standoff reminiscent of the good, bad, and the ugly, emphasis on the ugly. So let's walk this back a little bit and take a look at why MLS would actually want to pull out of such a prestigious historic cup in the United States. So MLS's official explanation is fixture congestion, and I'm not using the air quotation marks because I think there is at least something of a legitimate argument here. LAFC, for instance, this past season played over 50 games total between MLS, Leagues Cup, Open Cup, CONCACAF. It just kind of adds up over time. But really, I think most people kind of saw between the lines here, and the real explanation is money. Big money, and the fact that MLS doesn't have direct control over it in the Open Cup. It's both a direct problem for MLS as well as an indirect problem, and I'll explain why. The direct problem is that U.S. Soccer collects a big chunk of ticket revenues in the Open Cup. MLS, meanwhile, they have some say over the Open Cup, but not really. They don't control a lot of the Open Cup mechanics like marketing, broadcasting rights, and competition standards. We know that the MLS is a marketing company that does some soccer on the side. Let's just face it, they're all about the marketing, they're all about the branding, and they are all about control. They control the narrative, they control the marketing. It also kind of, leads into the whole Lionel Messi thing. And how the MLS is really driving the narrative behind it, and they are really in love with anything Messi right now, and they, as much as they love Messi, they love controlling the narrative about Messi as well. One of the issues that they are having this with this Open Cup is that they don't control the broadcast rights. The Open Cup is not broadcast on Apple TV. CBS had the rights this past season. So MLS doesn't have direct control over that either. And again, MLS does not like not having control over any aspect of its operation. Let's face it, people, and this is kind of an extreme example here, but I can't think of a better one. MLS is the hermit kingdom of world soccer. Let's just face it, it is. It's basically North Korea if North Korea didn't completely suck. No promotion or relegation system in MLS. Everyone's in all one league and all one big happy family, all soon to be 30 teams. There's complicated roster and salary rules that inhibit the natural flow of the global game going in and out of the league, and just an overwhelming desire by MLS to be the end-all, be-all for U.S. soccer and soccer perception. Now, I'll admit that I did not get fully invested in the domestic soccer game until St. Louis City SC came around. I'm guilty of that. I will fully admit that. I regret not getting involved in the domestic game before. I regret not getting involved with these guys, St. Louis City FC. We'll talk about them in a little bit. I just did not have that investment. So yes, MLS is kind of my gateway drug to domestic soccer fandom. It's really kind of the gateway drug to this channel. I will admit that. I'm not proud of it, but I'll admit it. Now, while the MLS is the hermit kingdom of world soccer, it also is worried about its perception in world soccer as well. But it really does not want to be referred as a tin pot league, or it does not want to be the butt of jokes in world soccer like it is in some corners. It also has zero interest in collaborating with USL. I mean, MLS would actually have to believe in the adage that sharing is caring, and the MLS, they don't care. But a big part of the allure of these countrywide tournaments like the U.S. Open Cup or the FA Cup in England, the Deutsche Pokal in Germany, Copa del Rey in Spain, and countless others is the whole idea that David could slay Goliath. That's a big draw. I mean, remember last season, Wrexham in the Vanarama League, the 5th tier of English soccer, went into Coventry City, the 2nd tier of English soccer. They were in the Sky Bet Championship, and they were actually competing for promotion that year. They went to the promotion finals to get into the Premier League that season. Coventry City, they lost to Luton Town. That's why Luton Town's in the Premier League this season, because they beat Coventry City in the promotion playoffs. But Wrexham, little old Wrexham in the 5th tier of English football, goes into Coventry's home and beats them in the FA Cup. Now, did Coventry City pitch a hissy fit, cry foul, and threaten to pull out the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup? No! Because it's tradition in English football to take part in those cups and know that you could get slayed by David. Not that Coventry City is really a Goliath. I mean, they actually almost went homeless during the last season. That's a whole ordeal where they almost lost their stadium. That's a whole nother video done by Coventry fans that can explain it a lot better than I can. Another example here in the U.S. St. Louis FC, these guys right here. In 2019, they famously beat the Chicago Fire in the U.S. Open Cup, and then they went on to beat now MLS side, not at the time, but the now MLS side, FC Cincinnati. After losing to St. Louis FC, did the Chicago Fire fold? Did they just cease to exist? Did they vanish into little dust particles like Thanos snapping his fingers? No. Did other MLS teams in the past that have lost to non-MLS teams in the Open Cup just wither away and die? No, they're still around. They still have their reputation, their branding, everything about them is still intact, and it's fine. It's perfectly fine. But this argument also answers the question of why not just let MLS teams play their reserves under their pro team flags. The U.S. Open Cup does have some pretty open roster rules. You know, there's not a whole lot of restriction there for an MLS side to play their reserves under their main team's banner. I feel that the MLS is deathly afraid of USL teams beating them in the Open Cup, because even if it's against their reserves on paper, the headlines will be that a USL team just beat an MLS team. If St. Louis City SC and not City 2 sends out their non-starters against, say, Memphis 901, for instance, in the USL, and they lose, it doesn't matter that St. Louis City SC started their reserves. The headlines will show that a USL team beat an MLS team. That's the perception, and that is what I think MLS is deathly afraid of, because it would have to actually admit that the USL even belongs in their zip code. I know what you're saying. These upsets happen all the time around the world. I'll give you another example. Liverpool. My beloved Liverpool, you never walk alone. They just went up against Union Saint-Gilloise in the Europa League. Now, where the hell is Union Saint-Gilloise? They're located in Belgium. They're one of the better Belgian clubs, and they are in the Europa League in the same group with the gigantic, historic Liverpool. Now, this is a Europa League comparison here. It's not an apples-to-apples comparison here. But by the time that Liverpool went to Union Saint-Gilloise, Liverpool had already wrapped up their group. They had nothing to play for in this game here, and it was a game that was sandwiched in between a couple of Premier League games, including a big game at home against Manchester United just a few days afterwards. So Liverpool had no incentive to field a true starting squad in this one. The game meant nothing to them against these Belgian upstarts, so they sent out a heavily rotated squad, Liverpool did, and then they got murked 2-1 by the mighty St. Gilloise. Now, will St. Gilloise take pride in upsetting the English Goliaths? Absolutely, they already have. I think some of the St. Gilloise fans were kind of miffed that Liverpool did not send out their best against them in this particular game. But at the same time, though, while there will be some snickering and laughing, what am I talking about? While there will be snickering and laughing in Liverpool's direction, it's already come and gone. This game was a couple weeks ago, and most people probably don't even remember it in the global game. Is this loss going to do anything to Liverpool's reputation? Is their home field, Anfield, going to suddenly become a ghost town because Liverpool fans just can't bear to support a team that lost to Union Saint-Gilloise? Absolutely not. These guys will continue to never walk alone, and these guys will continue to be just fine. It's the equivalent of you, walking up to the Washington Monument and giving it a kick. Just a big old kick. The monument, it's going to continue to being a monument. It's not even going to make a dent in their reputation. Same thing with Liverpool. Losing to St. Gilloise is a kick against the Washington Monument. It's nothing. It really is nothing. Life goes on. But this is, again, a reminder of how insecure MLS is about its own image. MLS does not have Liverpool swag in them. Their insecurities over this whole Open Cup fiasco, I think, prove that. Liverpool is known by those initials, YNWA, that stands for You'll Never Walk Alone. Every game before the game at Anfield, the supporters sing You'll Never Walk Alone, a obscure-ish 60s song by local band Jerry and the Pacemakers. One line in that song goes, "At the end of the storm, there's a golden sky and a sweet silver song of a lark." MLS decided that it did not want to weather the storm of the Open Cup. It decided to try to sidestep it like a coward. And at the end of this storm, there's not a golden sky. Instead, there's the sour, poop-colored sound of U.S. soccer fans everywhere calling out MLS for being absolutely weak sauce. Now, MLS has a chance to dig itself out of this self-dug hole. Like with all things, there is a compromise to be had between MLS and U.S. soccer. But that compromise has to involve MLS teams being involved in the Open Cup. Because no one league is above the sport. No league is above tradition. Other professional soccer leagues in the U.S. have come and gone. MLS is the Johnny-come-lately of that, albeit one that does appear to have some staying power. But MLS's cowardice has given itself another problem, one that it has tried to avoid with this stunt. Right now, there might not be more curiosity about the USL across the nation than there is now. Think of all the fans that MLS has brought in over the years. Think of all the fans that have just started paying attention to MLS because of St. Louis City SC. MLS just kind of gave USL a big marketing present because, again, remember, who doesn't like the story of David beating Goliath? USL is David, MLS is Goliath in this situation. And MLS in this situation, just about as likable as Goliath here. Psst, support St. Charles FC. They would love your support, and they too play in the Open Cup. MLS needs to figure out if it truly wants to grow the game in the US or just wants to grow its own pockets in the most soulless way possible by vacuuming any sort of organic interest in the sport. Because as a great woman once said, the more you tighten your grip, the more star systems will slip through your fingers. I'm Tom Franklin, the Soccer Zombie. I'm not wearing pants.